And if his whole entire plan was just to milk this for views and get on this show and pull out right before the fight was supposed to happen, 2 weeks out, a week out, then you are literally wasting everybody's fucking time. Like, you're just losing everybody's respect. Why would you do something like that? That shit's gonna topple, bro. It's gonna fall like a rock. Guaranteed. What the fuck is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Kevin Hoop Show. I am your host, looking a little bit like a college douchebag, but honestly, I'm liking the thick boy gear. I had to rep it a little bit on a video. I enjoy it, so I'm gonna fucking wear it. Got the Tiger Thick over here. Shout out to Brendan Shaw, make some good shit. Either way, let's get into the main reason of this video. It's not to suck off Brendan Shaw. It's to talk about Dillon Danis. Still to this day is staying relevant while not fighting at all. He said he was going to back out of this fight. He said there was a high chance the fight wasn't even gonna happen. And look at where we ended up. It's not professional, honestly. It looks really bad on his part, and I really don't know how much longer we're gonna see this guy actually in the spotlight. Yes, he started with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He was a really, really good black belt. He really had some skills. Yeah, there was some losses and whatnot when it came to the end of his BJJ career. But I do think that he showed himself and showed that he had the skill level to go and teach guys like Conor McGregor, or at least be a part of their camps. Not necessarily like he taught Conor McGregor everything he knows about jiu-jitsu. But I do think that he has some skill when it comes to mixed martial arts, or at least had it. He's talked about this a little bit on Ariel Helwani's show, and I don't know how true it is. I don't know if it's the other way around, but he has said that he's been having trouble finding coaches, or at least the problem to him was it was hard for him to really trust his coach that was teaching him. Whether it was him not being able to trust his coach, or coaches not being able to trust him, which if I were to put my money on it, I'll put my money on coaches not trusting him. This dude's getting in fights left and right. He just can't fucking put his nose down, stay out of the media in a bad way, and actually train for a fight and show the fuck up. Now, he's talked also a lot on the Ariel Helwani show about this recent hydration test, and I would say that there's a lot of different aspects when it comes to this hydration test. Now, I'm not behind the scenes in the organization Misfits Boxing or DAZN, whichever company is behind making sure the hydration test gets actually given to the fighters. I don't know which company that is. But either way, I do know that they were trying to enforce that for this fight, and it ended up getting pulled away. They ended up taking away the hydration test to please Dillon Danis. Now, whether it was because he was talking about it on the shows, or because he actually has a good team of lawyers, or who's talking over his contracts with him, I don't know. But they pulled the hydration test before he actually pulled out of the fight. You couldn't even give that as an excuse to why you are going to not be, why you're pulling out of the fight, why you're not fighting. You can't use that as an excuse. They literally were bending the rules towards you to please you. So what the fuck is the problem here, bro? What are we dealing with? He's also mentioned a lot on the Ariel Helwani show and other shows that he wasn't even expecting this fight to go through. I just want to ask him, I want to know, what in the fuck was this dude's mindset? Either something actually happened, leading up to this fight in the past 2 or 3 days. On January 4th or January 5th, something happened in his camp to where he had to pull out. Whether it was an injury, family matter, who the fuck knows? If it was something that serious, I hope everything's all right. If it's not, and if his whole entire plan was just to milk this for views and get on this show and talk on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani and start a whole bunch of beef or get a whole bunch of views and clout and pull out right before the fight was supposed to happen, 2 weeks out, a week out, then you are literally wasting everybody's fucking time. Like, you're just losing everybody's respect. Why would you do something like that? Because I guarantee you, the views and the comments and all of the clout that you're getting behind everything you post on Twitter right now, yeah, it may look good right now, but I guarantee you, after this month, it's all the way up here right now. It's gonna... That shit's gonna topple, bro. It's gonna fall like a rock. Guaranteed. There were also some tweets that he talked about fake news this, and the truth is more surprising than everybody thinks, or something like that. He said the truth will shock everyone. Dude, I don't think the truth is gonna shock shit. Because, again, I really think it's one of the two things. That's the only reason somebody would pull out a fight like this, or their weight. I guess there's three. There's three reasons, really. You can add this reason of this dude might have not been able to make weight. We recently saw in a recent grappling match with Gordon Ryan, Vinny Mangalis had to cut 40 to 50 pounds the week of the grappling match. And he ended up going into some sort of kidney failure to where he could not physically cut that much weight in that sort of time. Now, whether Dillon Danis was experiencing something like that, in my opinion, he would have known when he accepted the fight or signed the contract whether he was going to be able to make the weight or not. Whether he actually tried to lose the weight is a whole nother fucking story. So it could have been something also along the lines of that, but in my opinion, that's just going off of laziness. And if you let that shit get out, I guarantee you Bellator MMA ain't gonna want to fucking have you in their next promotion. And the UFC definitely ain't gonna want to have your ass. So honestly, I really think his only next move is to go back to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and try and, win some shit over there. Humana. I gotta calm down a little bit. Kind of went off there. Let's bring things back down a little bit. Sorry if I was yelling into the mic a little bit. Sorry, I might need a little earphone user thing right there, ladies and gents. Just a little passionate and just tired of this bullshit with this dude. Gordon Ryan talked about it, how he really thinks it's like almost a skill of this guy staying this relevant while not fighting at all. For those of you that might think that Dillon Danis is some really great MMA practitioner, you're wrong. Yes, he is 2-0 in MMA. That's all his experiences in the cage. It was not in as high of an organization with as many elite fighters as the UFC. It was in Bellator MMA. And with his experience from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it doesn't surprise me that he has a 2-0 record. Honestly, against, really low-level people, if he's that good in jiu-jitsu, he should be able to submit those kinds of guys at the low level in mixed martial arts. You don't just win ADCC matches and go over to MMA and completely forget all of your jiu-jitsu. At the most, I expect him to be somewhat successful in mixed martial arts, but to completely pull out of this boxing fight, I think is just completely phony, in my opinion. Completely phony. Moving on of Dillon Danis, though, we'll stop talking about him, stop giving his fucking limelight. That's the last spotlight he's going to get on this channel, unless he does something really miraculous, whether it's stupid or fucking, kind of brave and, wow, tippable. Moving on, we've got Faze Temper versus KSI now. I wasn't the biggest fan, or I wasn't, paying attention to the KSI and Dillon Danis fight a whole bunch. Now that Dillon Danis isn't in it at all and there's no really MMA aspect to it, I'm not that big of a fan as I was. But we have KSI versus Faze Temper. I've watched these guys for years and been big fans of both of them, so I'm not leaning towards one or the other, but I will have to say, Faze Temper's taking this shit all the fucking way, all right? I'm definitely on the Faze side a little bit more. I'm leaning more on the Faze side for this. But honestly, I do think that KSI has probably that younger mindset, that younger sort of stamina, and I think that's where he's going to have an advantage in this. And as well as he's really been boxing not longer than Faze Temper. That's one thing that people might have mistaken. Faze Temper, I know, has been training boxing since the very first Faze House, which was over 10 years ago. So I do know that Faze Temper has a good amount of boxing experience. So KSI is going to have a little bit of a challenge on his hands here. It's not just going to be a walk in the park like it probably was going to be with Dillon Danis. Let's be real here. I do think that KSI has that younger strength and that younger mentality to where he's going to have more of a stamina, and he's been training boxing so much. That's where his mentality has brought him right now. He's been going from YouTube to rapping and boxing and kind of managing all three at one time. I think he's been working on trying to manage all three of these professions. And I think the best way for him to do that is for a certain amount of time, whether it's 4, 5, 6 months, dedicate yourself to that profession solely for that time period. And I think he's been doing that probably for the past 4, 5, maybe 6 months leading up to this January fight. I haven't really seen him too much in the rap game. I remember the beginning of 2022, he was really killing it in the rap game. So, he's definitely succeeded in the rap game and probably started to transition his eyes back to boxing. I do not know too much about this YouTuber boxing world in general. Not as much as I do about the UFC, I will admit that. But I do know a little bit about Faze Temper and KSI in general. So I figured I could talk about it a little bit. Let me know if you guys are interested in this fight at all in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this video a little bit, I tried to make it a little bit more entertaining with the whole entire hat and everything. I thought it was a good little twist, and I definitely had a little bit of that anger management to deal with a little in the middle of the video to deal with Dillon Danis, but fuck that guy, all right? And with that, have a great fucking day, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bada bing. Bada boom! Faze, baby! Faze all the way! Faze up!